and gentlemen, and welcome to Nick's Loves Food Log. Today we're going to try out a classic item of food, something that's nearly loved by everyone around the world. Today we're making a juicy chicken burger with bacon jam. So let's begin with the moist chicken patty. For this I have about half a kilo of chicken mince, and to this I'm going to add about 4 to 5 tablespoons of mayonnaise. If you don't like mayonnaise, you can just add plain milk or Greek yogurt. To this, now I'm going to add about a teaspoon and a half of maple syrup. Now, 4 to 5 finely chopped eschalots. You can use onion too if you wish. Now we give this a good mix. And to this, I will add garlic powder. It could be how much of garlic powder I want. If you wish, instead of garlic powder, you can always add chopped or minced garlic. Give it a good mix. And now we add some spicy paprika and some chopped herbs. Let's give that another mix. And now we add salt and crushed black pepper. Mix again. Now to bind and bring all of this together, we add a good amount of breadcrumbs. The lesser breadcrumbs you add, the moister and, how do I put this, looser your chicken patty would be. The more breadcrumbs you add, the drier and more firm it will be. So try and get a middle ground somewhere. Now that all of this has come together, let's put this aside and bring forward my favorite Sopat mat. Take a good helping. Lightly oil your hands. This is so that the mince doesn't stick to your palms. And form it into a round, flat burger patty. There we go. Now, repeat with the remaining mince. Now you put a griddle pan on high heat and let it warm up nice and good and brush it with some oil. Carefully lift one and place it on the griddle and carefully lift another and do the same. Brush the top of the patty with just a little bit of oil. After about 4 to 5 minutes, safe to say it's cooked very well on one side, so carefully we flip it and let this cook another 3 to 4 minutes further. And now we take it off on some absorbent paper. So now let's make some delicious bacon jam. Like a wise man once said, everything tastes good with bacon. If you don't believe that, you're pointless. To make bacon jam, rub a skillet slightly with oil and put the pan on a medium to low flame. When the skillet's nice and warm, we add a good amount of bacon. Now don't ask me how much bacon I've added. I've added bacon. It's going to be a lot. Fry the bacon off. The bacon has been cut into 1-inch squares. When the bacon is nice and cooked, we take it off on an absorbent piece of paper. Now in the pan that is still warm with some bacon fat in it, we will add some chopped garlic. So no measures recipe, so everything is just how you would like it. And some chopped eschalots. Add just a touch of oil, not too much. When the mixture is cooked, we add bacon once again and cook it together. To this mixture we add some paprika, some mustard, and we give it a good mix. Now we add some maple syrup and just a touch of ketchup and some brown sugar, and we give it a good mix. Make sure the flame is quite low. Otherwise, maple syrup will caramelize. It'll be a big fat mess. To this, we add some bourbon. And give it a good mix once again. So, bacon and bourbon, made for each other. To this, we add some malt vinegar and finish it off with some salt and pepper. Let the mixture reduce in the pan to a slightly syrupy consistency. When the bacon has come together, we take it off the heat and give it a slight blitz to make it tasty. And the bacon jam is done. So let's start with toasting the bun for the burger. Here we have a nice sesame bun. Bun off. Let's prepare some lettuce. Tomato slices. Let's place a nice chicken patty on that. Top it off with some bacon jam. And the burger is done.
Hey everybody, this is Sneha here. Welcome to Masala Trails. So today we're making mutton pepper fry. In Malayalam it's called Aad Erchi Varthada. Aad is mutton, Erchi is meat, and Varthada is simply fried. Growing up, I never really ate a lot of mutton because mutton was never cooked in my house. It was only when I moved out of home with my first job did I start eating mutton. And to me, this dish is that memory. It is from my small little apartments when all my friends would gather and we would sit down to play gin rummy. So today we're going to start by lightly toasting 3 main spices. Let's heat the pan for a second here. So this is a very simple way to start. I've got cinnamon. We're just going to toast everything lightly. I've got cardamom and I've got some cloves in this as well. So as you can see, the cloves have turned a slight ash colored and your cardamom is also slightly toasted, so is the cinnamon. Put it in a slight mortar and just let it cool naturally. The next step is to just get our mutton cracking. So I have got about 500 grams of mutton in here. This is boneless meat. Right, so now once you've put in the mutton, put about a tablespoon of coriander powder, just 1 teaspoon of chili powder, maybe 1/4 teaspoon of turmeric, and just a tad bit of salt. Just lightly fry the mutton pieces on the gas. We've not added any oil or anything at this point. Once you think they've all mixed really well, add a little bit of water just to cover the meat. Just cover it and let it simmer. While it is simmering, let's go back to the spices that we had toasted earlier. So just slightly grind them. You don't want to make a powder of it. This is the consistency of the spices that you want. Just add a little bit of this into your meat. So just a little bit, mix it and let it rest on low flame for a good 25-30 minutes. So if your meat has not cooked in 30 minutes, worry not, add some water. You can cook it as long as you like. At this stage, once it cools down, you can even freeze it and put it in the freezer for a good maybe 1.5 months, a good 45 days. Now we'll take you to the last step. This is rather simple and this is really what adds the finishing touch to the dish. Okay, so of course, as a Keralite, I always advise use coconut oil. So here there are about 20 pods of garlic which I have finely chopped for about half a kilo of mutton. But like I said, you can increase or decrease as per your taste. I like garlic. So as soon as you add the garlic, I've got about 6-7 slit chilies. Just add them also right away. Post this, just add a little bit of curry leaves. Okay, at this stage, we're going to add the onions. I've got about 2.5 chopped onions. To speed up the process of browning your onions, put a wee bit of salt. As you can see, our chilies are just slightly like crispy. So are our curry leaves, and our garlic is just slightly brown, which is exactly the texture we want. While this is happening, let's just quickly look back into our mutton and see how well it's been cooked. So you don't want it to be too dry and sticking to the pan. So if you feel like your onions are taking a little bit longer and the mutton's drying up, worry not, just add a little bit of water. I'm just going to leave it on simmer while the onions are cooking. You needn't close this now, just, smell it nice. So you remember the first spice mix we made of the toasted cinnamon, cloves, all of that? Just add it to the mix. You just want to toast it slightly again with the onions. It's just a light, subtle flavor. So you have some of that is already seeped into your meat beautifully, and just some over the top. What is mutton pepper fry without some real pepper in it? So just grind them slightly. You might want to keep the peppercorn slightly whole and not completely crushed, because it'll spice up your evening. I mean, it'll be fun to have a friend bite into it unknowingly, right? It totally makes up my evening. So now you can see 50% of the onions are translucent and 50% have begun to brown. This is great because this is when you want to be putting your meat in. Slowly just scoop out a little bit of your meat, spoonfuls at a time. Can you see how beautifully it's folding in? You can barely tell where's the meat, where's the onion. It's a soft meat, and it is also not supposed to be overtly dry. So it's perfectly okay if you have a little moistness in the dish. Now this is a great time to check your spices. Is your meat cooked? Is there enough salt? If at all it's missing anything, there you go. I think we could use some salt. So now we're just going to put the gas up on a slightly high flame and just keep stirring it so it doesn't stick to the bottom of the pan. So we've got ourselves a nice little bowl, and this is ready to serve. So let's take a little bite of this. It's exactly what it should be. It's peppery, it's fiery. The onions are half translucent, half crispy, so it adds a little nice crunch to the whole dish. If you like this dish, please subscribe to our channel Get Curried. Thank you.
Hi guys, welcome to Get Curried. This is the Bombay chef Varun Inamdar, and what I bring to your kitchen today is a beautiful club sandwich. Well, club sandwich for the uninitiated is a layered sandwich, like a double-decker sandwich with variety of meats. So let's begin with that. So for the sandwich, without saying it goes, we have a bread. I'm going to butter this bread. I'm going to toast this on medium flame till it becomes nice, crisp and toasted. Similarly, I'm going to start applying butter on the other side as well. Well, if you have a toaster in the house, use a toaster. In the same pan, I'm going to now render some bacon. So by rendering, I mean the bacon will get nice and crisp and it'll start releasing all its fats and oils. Now that the bacon is crisp and done, let's transfer it to a plate. Now I have some slices of chicken. I'm just going to add in a little bit of salt and pepper. Just rub it a little. And I'm going to pan fry this in bacon fat. Well, you just have to make it nice and golden brown on both the sides. Once that's done, we can move the chicken also on a platter. Now on top of this chicken, I'm just going to drizzle a little bit of yellow mustard. This is really going to add into the punch and pungency of this chicken. A little more black pepper, and I'm going to smear all of this on the chicken. So now that the chicken is ready, let's move on to the next, which is eggs. A little bit of salt and pepper, and this egg can be cooked as per the doneness that you like and desire. I'm going to keep it semi-soft, semi-runny, and as soon as this is flipped and ready, I'm going to transfer this on a plate. The first thing that I'm now going to apply is some mayonnaise, like a spoonful of mayonnaise on each bread slice, a little bit of mustard. Now I'm going to smear this on the entire surface of the bread. Now that everything is ready, now let's start assembling the club sandwich. Now the first thing that goes in is some crisp bacon. Now why bacon? Bacon because club sandwich is actually a BLT. B for bacon, L for lettuce, and T for tomatoes. So first goes in bacon. The next thing that goes in is some crisp lettuce. Well, lettuce can be iceberg, rucola, cos, romaine, lettuce of your choice. Well, at this stage, you're just going to press it a little so that it forms a nice layer. And now I'm going to slice in some ripe tomatoes. Next, the sliced tomatoes go right on top of the lettuce. So this is now a BLT. A little bit of salt and black pepper. And now goes in the next bread slice. Now goes in the slices of chicken. And finally, the egg. Now the side on which we had applied the mayonnaise and the mustard goes right on top of the egg. And now what goes on top is these wooden skewers. This just holds everything together and will make sure nothing falls. And finally, I'm going to cut this. Now that the club sandwich is ready, do try it at home and do let us know how you like it. Do not forget to like, share and subscribe, and wait for what next Bombay Chef gets into your kitchen.
Hi everyone! Welcome to my recipe book with me, Tarika, where today I'm going to be making mashed potatoes. You know, I don't know anyone who doesn't like potatoes, and mashed potatoes in particular. But if you're someone who stayed away from eating mashed potatoes because of the oodles of butter in it, then you're going to love my recipe. I've got just 1 tablespoon of butter here that I've melted with 3 cloves of garlic that are just really finely minced. Don't let it brown, you just have to melt it and then quickly take it off the heat. I've got this pot of water heating here. I'm just going to add salt to it. And simultaneously what I'm going to do is that I'm just going to start peeling the potatoes to add them to this hot water. I'm going to boil these potatoes and then mash them up. I've got about 500 grams of potatoes, so you want to get the skin off completely. Then you just want to cut this up. And here's the trick, you know, actually once you cut them up, these potatoes will boil much faster. So I'm just going to add these chopped up potatoes to the hot water and just continue doing this till I get all of the potatoes in.
Okay, so you'll know that the potatoes are done when you can just stick a knife through it and it just goes through completely and breaks very easily. So these potatoes are done. It's time to drain them out of this starchy water. So quickly get them into this bowl. So we're moving very quickly now, and while the potatoes are still hot, just quickly mash them. So while these are mashed, I'm going to add the garlic and the butter that we had melted earlier on. Add this. This is the chopped up parsley. I'm saving some for garnish. The very classic French flavors, lots of garlic and parsley. And I've added the tablespoon of butter. If you're wondering what my cheat ingredient is going to be, it's some milk. This is what's going to give me that smooth consistency. Okay, now you want to add generous amounts of salt and pepper. So you can give it a taste right now to check the salt and pepper. It's still very hot. Could do with a bit more salt and some more pepper. Add some more milk. So I'm done mashing this and it's got a lovely silky texture that I just can't wait to plate up. But I'm going to have to be really quick because mashed potatoes are best served hot. Garnish it with the parsley that we had set aside. So guys, these mashed potatoes have all the flavor of butter without being loaded with it. You've just got to try this recipe, also like it, share it with your friends and subscribe to our channel. See ya!
Hello and welcome to Masala Trails. To me, this particular recipe was born out of a need for innovation. I had friends coming over. It was a last minute plan. We hadn't really, planned a fare or anything like that. And I didn't want to serve them regular keema. So I decided why not do keema and idli together. And let me tell you, it worked wonders for me. So to start with, light up your gas. And then I'm going to put just a little bit of oil, maybe a tablespoon of oil. And to this I'm adding some cumin seeds. Just let the cumin seeds splutter. Okay, so now to this I'm adding some finely chopped onions. To this I'm going to add some finely chopped chilies, green chilies. Now I'm going to add some ginger garlic paste, just a little bit. And just stir it right away because otherwise only the ginger garlic paste will burn. Okay. Now to this I'm just going to add a bit of spices. To begin with, some turmeric powder, some chili powder, about a teaspoon. I'm adding some garam masala and I'm also adding some cumin powder. Just give it a nice mix. Okay. Once this is cooked, we are going to add a little bit of tomatoes. I'm just going to add a little bit of water to this to sort of help the tomatoes mash really well. Just a wee bit of water. And to this we are adding some minced chicken. I've taken a cupful of minced chicken. But like I said, depending on how many people you're cooking for and You know, if you just like to save some for the breakfast next day, you can totally make yourself some extra. Just allow the onions and the chicken to mix really well. Okay, I'm just going to leave this on simmer and let it simply just cook. Now the next step that we're going to do is I have with me idli batter. You can either buy it from an Indian store anywhere, or alternatively you can just walk into an Indian store and ask for a premix, which is just like powdered idli batter, but you can just add some water at your house and it's ready to be, you know, cooked. So this is the consistency we are looking at. We don't want it to be too thick, neither too watery either. Okay, so check on your keema at the same time. My chicken is almost cooked. To this, I'm just going to add some fresh coriander leaves. Okay, I'm just going to mix it in and you can just switch it off and let it cool. So with me here, I now have something that's called an idli vessel, idli maker. This is hard to get outside of India unless you have an Indian store guy who's willing to get it for you, but worry not. Alternatively, this is basically you're just steaming food. So alternatively, you could use like little ramekins. Just don't make a really, like, as you can see here, this is really small and, you know, shallow. So if you can find an alternative to this, you can use it in your regular steamer, whether it's an electric steamer, whether it's a gas steamer or however. So I have like 2 layers of these over here. To this, I'm just going to dip my fingertips in oil and just sort of line the holders. Okay, so now the next step is, while our keema is cooling, we're just going to add a tiny bit of batter in each one of the pools. Okay, just a little. As you can see, I've not even tried to fill up the whole thing. Now that you've added a bit of half, sort of filled your pools half on all your pans, you can just quickly scoop up a little bit of keema. You don't want it to fall out either. So I'm taking like 1 tablespoon each. But like I said, depending on your dish size, how thick your meat is, etc., on just how much you'd like to add. Okay, just add it like as close to the center as possible. Now I'm going to add the second layer of batter as well to cover it up. Try and sort of, you know, not let anything come outside and just cover the whole thing. This will help keep your idli intact. So I've added some water to my steamer. I mean, where else will the steam come from, right? So I've already sort of let it heat. I think my water is hot enough, so I'm going to add the first pan to this, and then I'm going to add the second pan to this, just very carefully and delicately, and you can just close it and leave it for a good 8 to 10 minutes on high flame, or medium flame is also just fine. It's been about 10 minutes since I put my idli in, so I'm just going to check if it's cooked. A great way to do is just pick up a fork and insert it into your idli. If it comes out clean like this, that means your idli is done. Now the next thing to do is just take it out right away. Do not let it sit in the bowl anymore. Just be really careful because it'll be hot and it's steam, so it'll be dangerous as well. And just put it out and let it cool by itself for 10 minutes. So I've let my idlis cool on this rack for a good 10 minutes now. So I'm just going to quickly take like a little butter knife and sort of scoop it out. Just be careful so that they don't break. So our idlis are done. Idlis are traditionally eaten for breakfast with chutney or stews in the morning. But since we are anyways deviating from tradition here today, you can alternatively eat it with your leftover keema. You can serve some chutney on the side. You can even serve it as a little party bite, as well as for me, my personal favorite is packing it for lunch on my busy day at work when you don't have time to step out. So I hope you enjoyed this recipe. If you did, please share our video, like our video, as well as subscribe to our channel.